Hello and welcome to InvestorToday.ca. I'm your host, Dave Glover. InvestorToday.ca is brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications. RBL Communications, your online IR professionals. Well, it is Wednesday, September 12th, and I am being joined by Graham Keevil. Once again, he is the president and CEO of Tajiri Resources Corp. Now, we just had Graham on the show, but Tajiri has just completed geophysics at OGK Copper and Gold Project, which begins ground-based exploration and it adds the Nova claims to their property. These are properties located in British Columbia, if I understand correctly. Graham, welcome to the show again, and can you tell the listeners about this project?
Thanks for having me back, Dave, and we'll get right into it. OGK is a copper porphyry gold target that we picked up back in June. It's situated immediately contiguous to the Lorraine copper deposit that's been discovered by Teck back in 2006. And hosts 30 million tons of 0.7% copper and 0.22 grams per ton gold. Now, OGK is about 200 kilometers north of Prince George in what they call the Quesnel Trough. It's in the top 90th percentile of potential discovery areas for these types of deposits, and we feel that based on some of the historic work that was done right at the tail end of Teck's exploration on Lorraine, that there's a good potential that OGK may be the host to the extension of what was originally discovered just to our south.
Well, so that's incredible. So we're talking about primarily a copper project then?
Yeah, it's a copper-gold porphyry, so it's a large, low-grade system, and then typically what you'll get is between 0.5 and 1% copper, and then 0.0 grams per ton gold, but really that does add a lot of value at the smelter stage, and actually copper porphyries are the number one producer of gold, even over primary gold deposits throughout the world.
Right, and copper is considered a bellwether mineral or resource, isn't it? So I mean,
absolutely, and I think it's probably one of the few there's constant demand and constant consumption. There's no recycling of copper. When it gets produced, it goes into wherever it may be. But that's it, and there needs to be more to make up the lack of supply there.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the location. I mean, you mentioned a great deal about it, but can we talk about how you acquired the properties and how you got interested in the location?
Yeah, well, I'm sort of base metal background. A lot of the previous companies I've worked with has been focused on that. Gold, obviously, secondary to it, but I've always liked these types of deposits. I feel that the economics, should you discover one, are always fairly attractive due to the economy of scale on your production side.
Right.
You're looking at typically between 500 million and 1 billion tons of material. You get a really large production operation going, and your margins are pretty attractive. So I was shopping around earlier in the summer, and through a few contacts of mine, got connected with Peter Fox and Don Mustard, who, if any of the listeners have been following the mining business for a number of years, will recognize those two names. They are well established in the BC exploration community. Peter actually found the QR mine that I worked on a couple years ago. So through them, they had been holding these claims since 2006 when they were dropped by Teck during their credit issues, we'll call them, and really had a good feeling about them and wanted someone to get them into a public vehicle to be able to finance the kind of work that could really assess whether it was something or nothing, essentially. And what we've seen to date, it does look like it's something, and some of the interesting historical data that's been provided to us further confirms that.
Right, and of course we're going to be showing those slides as the conversation continues. It's quite a significant claim too. It's 8,300 hectares, right?
So that is just the newest addition. The entire property now, I think, is upwards of 15,000 hectares.
Right.
So it's a good chunk of land in a high release prospective area with a deposit already discovered immediately to the south. So for all intents and purposes, I think it's the kind of situation Tajiri's come to be familiar with and seek out.
Now, what type of season are we talking about for this type of exploration?
A little shorter, obviously, than our Guyana stuff, but we have guys up there right now following up on airborne geophysics that we just finished, and they'll be up there working probably till the end of October.
Fantastic. So, again, location, isn't it? Just like in Guyana.
Absolutely, and the 3 L's, as they say, really do, I think, for exploration, prove their worth as you move forward. So.
Well, again, great news. Just for the listeners, we're talking to Graham Keevil. He is the president and CEO of Tajiri Resources. Tajiri Resources Corp, which trades on the TSX under the symbol TAJ. And to recap the headline, Tajiri completes geophysics at OGK Copper Gold Project and begins ground-based exploration, which adds to your NOVA claims in your property. This is in British Columbia. I want to thank Graham for coming to the show. Can you give us maybe an insight into what's next at either Nova or in Guyana?
I'd urge the listeners to have a look at our PowerPoint on the websites or through the RBL portals, because it does give you a little bit more info on what I was talking about specifically at OGK. There's some old tech drill holes that are right beside us that are pretty interesting. And for Guyana, we've now shipped our first 900 soil auger samples out of the project. Once those assays are back, first week of October, we'll target the drilling, and away we go.
All right. Well, I thank you for joining us again, Graham. Again, it's Dave Glover. You've been listening to InvestorToday.ca, brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications, your online IR professionals. We'll see you next time.